I've owned my RadRunner Plus about 6 months now and have probably put in over 500 miles of riding on it. When I am able to jump on and ride, it's usually on a walking trail or a bike trail, and it's usually in the middle of the day. So in all honesty, I really didn't need to add major lighting add-ons to my runner, such as turn signals or a motorcycle horn. However, I was really unimpressed with the premium Rad headlight that came with the RadRunner Plus. So it started me down the rabbit hole of what headlight upgrade options we had available. In the end, I sort of didn't go for a standalone, removable, rechargeable light, and I didn't go for a wired-in permanent light that runs off the e-bike battery. I decided to do both, sorta. Well, a hybrid of the two. I decided to mount a permanent headlight that is wired up to a rechargeable 12-volt battery. Previously, I had a rechargeable horn/alarm that was very useful, but I decided why not wire in a horn that would use the same 12-volt battery. The built-in bell is great for alerting pedestrians, but doesn't work very well for alerting people in cars. And I wanted another horn in case I do riding on the streets. I thought turn signals were a good idea as well, since there has been a few times where I was riding and I felt that I needed to indicate which direction I intended on going, and I really didn't like using hand turn signals. In the end, a simple headlight upgrade turned into a whole big wiring project to add a powerful headlight, turn signals, and a horn. At the core of it all, I purchased a 12-volt battery that would run everything. Most motorcycle parts operate off of 12 volts, so it seemed natural to begin with that. I love e-bikes that have that cafe racer kind of look. So I wanted one main headlight versus multiple smaller headlights, or the LED cluster lights that I've seen. This one appeared to be a good choice, so that's the one I ordered. There were a lot of turn signal options, but I went with these since they are flexible, and since they would obviously stick out from the side of the bike, I wanted them to flex if they ever got hit. I also really like the sequential flowing out of the lights when they're on. They remind me of the Ford Mustang's turn signals. The horn that I got was just your basic motorcycle/scooter type horn. Loud enough to be noticed, but not obnoxious like blasting the train horn. I think it was 150 decibels for like $10. I had to get a main switch to run everything. The one that I settled on has its pros and cons, but it's ultimately what I decided on. I like that it looks very similar to the 3-button remote that the RadRunner Plus, or in my case the 35-amp controller upgrade, comes with. So it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. It almost looks like it could have come from the factory or from Rad. I've seen other e-bike companies use this switch, and it looks great. It's very compact and doesn't have big, ugly red or green buttons or toggle switches for the turn signals. I didn't want to accidentally toggle the left turn signal while trying to turn off the right turn signal, or vice versa. The things I don't like about this switch is that its headlight button is limited to either on or off. So I had to wire the daytime running light, or halo light, to run whenever the battery was switched on. And the regular beam and the high beam are wired together, so they switch on when the switch is actually turned on. Other things that are required to do this sort of project are electrical wire, obviously. I used 20 gauge on most of it, but a bit thicker gauge was used on wires for the headlight because they would be powered on for extended periods. I also used a soldering iron and some solder. Also some shrink tubing, electrical tape, bullet connectors, zip ties, paracord, bar clamps, and just to be overly safe, I put a fuse breaker in line. I really doubt I'll ever need it, but better safe than sorry. To attach the rear turn signals, I used 2 bar clamps and some washers. I put bullet connectors on all the turn signals and the wiring, just in case I need to switch one of them out if they break. However, this is optional. For the front turn signals, I used some random hardware that I had laying around the garage to fashion together a bracket. I'm not overly happy with the way it looks, but it will work until I get something better. I mounted the horn to the same spot where the Runner Plus's premium headlight is supposed to be attached. This all, of course, is being controlled by the main switch mounted to the left handlebar, since you mainly only use that to turn on the bike and turn up and turn down the pedal system. Like I mentioned before, I think the switch looks a lot like the 3-button remote. so I feel it's pretty seamless, even though it's sort of a dark gray instead of a black. All the wiring runs to the RadRunner center console, but I suppose the wires and battery could be stashed elsewhere, like in a tube bag or wherever, if need be. The wiring is pretty straightforward, for the most part. Most of everything is two basic wires, red for positive, black for negative, except for the headlight and the switch where you'll need to read the wiring diagrams, where there's more than just the two wires. Now, nobody wants a bunch of wires running up and down your expensive looking e-bike. So the way I decided to make it all look nice and neat, and to also protect the wiring in the process, is to use paracord rope. You can pick up a bundle of paracord for pretty cheap, and it comes in different colors. I went with black, but you can pick any color to add a bit of flair to your bike. And it comes in different thicknesses for different thicknesses of wires. It's really easy to do. All you need is the wires that you would normally be using to hook everything up, paracord, and some heat shrink tubing. To use the heat shrink, you can use a heat gun if you have one, otherwise you can just use regular lighter. You get your wires that are already cut to the length that you need. These are just for demonstration. Cut up a strip of paracord to the proper length that will allow some extra wiring to stick out. As you can see, paracord has these threads running through them that give the rope its strength, but if you pull them out, you essentially have a sleeve of fabric. Just pass your wiring through the paracord sleeve. And use a bit of shrink tubing to seal the ends so they don't move or fray anymore, because they'll do that. Now the wiring is nice and neat, bundled together, without a ton of zip ties. And the wires look like it's supposed to be there, instead of something that you just slap together. So once you got all the wiring ran and everything hooked up, everything attached to the bike, that's basically it. When I initially started planning this wiring mod, it seemed pretty daunting, but really the hardest part is the soldering. And if you know how to do that, it's super easy. I really hope that this has helped some of you out there that were wanting to wire up some lighting on your e-bike. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. I really would appreciate it. Thank you.